back to another episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. We are here to talk about Superman. This is our spoiler hot review for Superman. And we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. We're going to talk about crypto, and we're going to talk about the Justice Gang, and we're going to talk about, for some reason, Maxwell Lord even talked about before the movie came out, was completely absent from this movie. That was kind of interesting. I was like, where's James Gunn's brother? Except this like little cameo he did like in a TV clip or something. That's what I remember. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. Let's start with some just general overall impressions. And I usually don't start with myself because that would be selfish. So I'm gonna start with Rich. Rich, what's going on, pal?
What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, Superman. I liked it until I didn't. The
Okay.
first two-thirds of the movie I thought were really good.
Okay.
And then the last third of the movie, I felt like it jumped the shark a bit.
Yeah.
But I thought it was colorful. I thought it was bright. I got the aesthetic that James Gunn was going for. He was definitely going for kind of this tribute to like the 1960s kind of golden age Superman for sure.
Yeah, I picked
Um,
up on that too.
yeah, so I appreciated that. I liked it. It was hopeful. It was jovial. I like Superman as the guy you can hang out with, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
As kind of opposed to being aloof, above humanity. He kind of wants to just be accepted, um, and be part of humanity. And so I appreciated that. But the last third, that kind of final act, basically from the from the baseball field fight on, it was a little much. There were some good parts in there though, but I think just the overall last third of the act was a little rough. After the first, I felt like it was almost like a tale of two movies. And if they would have just kind of stuck with whatever theme they wanted to go with in either the two-thirds or the last third, would have been fine. But it's like they kind of he wanted to do too much, I think, and a little too much dip on the chip for their James Gunn on the last third. But overall, I thought it was good. I mean, it's doing pretty good at the box office so far. It's been a couple of weeks. I was really interested to see how the box office would react the second week. And it only dropped like 56%, which is normal. I was expecting more of
Yeah.
a 60-70% drop, but 56%, that's not bad. So, it's resonating with an audience out there. And yeah, I mean, it was fine. I think it's a good start to the DCU. I don't think it just had a lot of heavy lifting to do. I think this Superman movie compared to the other Superman movies, just it had the burden of having to kind of relaunch a shared universe when we're, you know, almost 20 years into concepts of shared universes, of varying success. So it had a lot of heavy lifting to do on its shoulders. And for the most part, I felt like it was successful. It made me excited for what's coming up in the DCU, with the projects that we know are coming. And yeah, that's my initial thoughts before we dig in.
Okay. Are there any more broad stroke perspective that you want to add to that, or is it just
No, I mean, I feel like if I keep talking, we're going to start digging in a little too deep here at the beginning.
that's
Uh,
fair?
but yeah, overall, great first two thirds, really weird last third, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I don't think I was as upset as some of the collective folks on Twitter was. It's really divided. I mean, Twitter's weird, right? It's just a divided internet on this one.
Yeah,
And yeah,
this is the last Jedi of comic book movies,
yeah,
like
yeah,
without a
yeah.
doubt.
This is equating to like uh, Luke Skywalker throwing the lightsaber in the ocean. It's that.
I think that's
So
a perfect comparison given that I think that this movie was a deconstruction, it was a satire. Like that's my feeling on it. And we'll get in more into that once we get into the weeds. I'll give you my general basic impressions.
yeah,
Um I was disappointed. Like that's the overall umbrella term or
Hmm.
the umbrella characterization um, or thought. I'm just disappointed. Um, I was hoping that this movie, because of it being Superman, that it would force James Gunn to step out of his comfort zone and do something new and to do something a little bit fresher, something with a little bit more ambition behind it. Um, and I think what happened is it was supposed to be Superman presented by James Gunn, and I think it ended up being a James Gunn project or film featuring Superman, where there was so much of James Gunn in this movie, it just completely overwhelmed it. Like that was my sense. There was just too much of what James Gunn likes to do, his sensibilities, his tone, that I think really is more of an oil and water composition with Superman. Like it just doesn't fit. Like I feel like they're fundamentally incompatible. That was my thought. And I was hoping that he would recognize it himself because I do think he's a very intelligent person. I think James Gunn is deceptively intelligent. Um, but I also think that he's enjoying his heyday of being the head of DC Studios. And I think he's just kind of swinging for the fences and he's enjoying his time while he has it. He's been on he's been on a real upward trajectory, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Came off of Guardians. Guardians was huge. He's now got, you know, a new girlfriend in his life who seems fantastic and you know what I mean? And he's got all these projects that he's doing where he's involving his friends and his family and he's like on a real upward trajectory and I think that's awesome for him. But I also think that he may have missed the forest for the trees as far as Superman goes. Um so the way that I feel like this film was constructed was James was like, "Okay, I'm going to do everything that I want to do with this movie." And then as he was putting this movie together, he's like, "Oh crap. There's not really a lot of Superman in here. What do I do? Oh, I know. I'll or like I'll do this last minute ad of, you know, patronizing and just sort of obvious superhero and Superman cliches, right? Because like there was no shortage of Superman cliches in this movie. It was just literally all the Superman cliches that everybody's like, I'm not going to say everybody because I know there's a huge fan base out there that love this movie for these very things. Loved it for the cliches, loved it for the callbacks to the golden age, and that's awesome. Okay. But I think there's a threshold that you can get to where the movie that you want the audience to take seriously stops taking itself seriously and moves into parody and moves into more deconstruction and more satire. And that's kind of where I felt like we went with this particularly. And I'd say that because mostly what I said about the whole alchemy of James Gunn and Superman, but also these major tonal shifts that happened throughout the film. There was an arbitrary application of life and death. Like they decided like death is going to be a part of this movie. Okay, cool. Awesome. Life and death consequences. But we're only going to use it when the creative team wants to use it. We're not going to apply it evenly across the entire project. So that kind of took me out of it a bit. And I really had a hard time kind of getting back into it because like once I get a sense that the film isn't even taking its own creative vision seriously, I just can't participate in it anymore, you know? Like if you're going to go for the campy, cartoony, comic booky vibe, go all the way, dude. Go all the way. You know what I mean? Make it like an episode of the Justice League Unlimited. I don't care. Bring that to life, right? I'm all for it,
That would be pretty cool, actually.
right? Like, do you remember the episode of Justice League Unlimited where they went to that alternate universe where there was actual comic book characters and
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry, there was
so.
actual heroes. You remember those guys?
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was so over the top, like over performative, over exaggerated as far as the 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 corniness and the cheesiness and the over performative aspects of it that it was just kind of like it was annoying. Like that's where I think we got to with this particular movie is it got into the annoying camp. Um I knew that they were going to lean into comedy with this. Like, and by the way, every prediction I made about this film before it hit the theaters was right.
Mm.
Like, I just want to put that out there. I told you when we talked about it before, I said that clip with Crypto, that full preview where we got to see him drag him to the Fortress of Solitude. I told you that that was going to basically be the running theme throughout the film for Crypto, and it was 100%. He had a couple of heroic moments here and there, but he served as animal gags and comic relief and became really annoying, by the way. And I love dogs. I've trained a ton of dogs. But listen, this is going to take us well into the weeds. So let's kind of like start diving deeper into this. But overall, yeah, I just kind of felt like I was just disappointed. I wanted more out of this film. I didn't get it. Um, I wanted more out of James Gunn. I didn't get it. I wanted more out of a Superman project. I didn't get it. But what can you do, man? I'm really happy that people enjoyed it and they had fun with it, and that there's like, and by the way, the people that love this movie,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to a disgusting degree, like almost to the point of they will attack anybody saying anything detracting from this film. I saw a number of critics get attacked with like racial stuff, misogynistic stuff, like problematic language just coming out of everywhere on Twitter for anybody who has anything negative to say about this film.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, it's just a movie, man.
Totally crazy,
You
bro.
know, it's just a
Totally
movie.
crazy. Totally crazy. But I also think it's somewhat reflexive. I think what's happening is that there's this there's this counterbalance to the Snyder people basically being like, "Hey, we want the Snyderverse back." And then there's these guys who are like, "You're never getting the Snyderverse back," and they're sort of doing their victory dance now. And then when somebody kind of comes after their project to sort of be a little bit more real about what it is, they get really, really, really vicious and just really animated about it. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm seeing
but
the smart monkey typing meme just flying around the internet
dude,
on both sides. It's kind
dude,
of
I started
hilarious.
I started reversing it on people because I was just getting sick of fucking seeing it. Like anytime anybody came after me for a Superman review, I just used it. I just did it and I just shut the conversation down. Like didn't
No
even
caption,
respond
just a
back.
picture.
Just no, nothing. That's it. I was because it cuts both ways,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it cuts both ways. And the people that are using it and weaponizing it don't understand that it cuts both ways. You're two sides of the same fucking coin, people. I'm sorry, but you
yeah,
are. You're no better than the Snyder cultists if you're out there talking shit and being misogynistic and being problematic and being racist and attacking people. You're no better than that particular side of the fence. I'm
yeah,
sorry, but
yeah.
there's no moral high ground for any of you to fucking stand on like you're better than the other one because it's not the way that it works. It's not the way society works. Like you have to like if you criticize somebody for their behavior, you're holding them to a standard, right?
Mhm.
And if your behavior gets to that same standard, guess what? You're like that fucking person.
Yeah.
Like there's no like I don't know how like this is basic common fucking sense, right? But anyways, this is not about lambasting these people. This is
That's
about
right.
the review for Superman. So,
Everybody just needs to
all right,
calm down. Just calm down.
absolutely,
W- w-
absolutely,
We're not saving lives here. It's just a car. It's just a
absolutely.
movie. It's just a movie.
Totally
So a
fucking
couple
agree, dude.
couple of points that you were
Yeah.
mentioned. It is very much a James Gunn film. I will agree with that. I mean, you
Yeah.
could all of the hallmarks that make a James Gunn film is there. Like if you didn't tell me James Gunn made this movie, I could tell you by the shots that were made,
Without even
the
knowing.
needle
Yep.
drops that were made. This is a James Gunn film. To
Absolutely.
me, it was a lesser Guardians a little bit. Um,
Guardians of Metropolis. I saw that meme and I agree
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, you had now I like what Gunn does. I love the one-shot beach fight with Mr. Terrific. I love the
It's
needle
cool. That
drop
was good. Dope. Yeah.
at that same moment. So
Yeah.
those Gunn moments are what I look for in a movie. It's like, you watch a Michael Bay film or a Jerry Bruckheimer film, you look for that spinning hero shot looking up. That's what you look for in these movies.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it. I just think that, um, when we got to when you were saying like lean into the camp, if you wanted to lean into the camp, you should have leaned into the camp. And I think that's what he was wanting to do with the last third of the movie, but it was just too much. I mean, we had a negative proton river that, and then you had portals that led to a pocket dimension. It was just too much,
Way
and
too much.
it was
Baby
way.
Joey, like what the fuck was that? Like,
Oh, the green baby.
yeah, like what? Like Baby Yoda? Like, dude,
Yeah,
like
that's merchandising,
there's
man.
there was just too much to follow. There was just too much to keep track of, too much to follow. Like the entire Daily Planet crew getting on the ship with Lois. Why?
And,
Why?
I remember you were saying, I think I saw it on Twitter, maybe we were talking about it offline about, oh, Lois can all of a sudden fly a spaceship, and they explained it away in the movie.
They did.
Mr. Terrific's like, "It's easy to fly, it's even
It's
intuitive." I'm
intuitive.
like, "Oh,
It's
okay, we just
intuitive. Yeah.
somehow Palpatine returned somehow." So
Yeah.
it was just, like, waved away,
Yeah.
with those 2 phrases, which I was like, okay." I mean,
They saw my
fine.
tweet. No, I'm kidding. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. I'm not Blu-ray Angel where I think everything is about me that's said on the internet, but okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, and your point about crypto, I'm not as mad about crypto, or not mad. I don't think
I'm
I'm
not
as upset
mad.
about mad about crypto.
I'm not mad.
He served what every animal not named Old Yeller serves in every movie with a dog in it. He is the comic relief. He played that role. Crypto filled that role that every dog fills in a movie. That it's there to make the protagonist more relatable. You look at him with like, oh, a dog. He has a dog, and he's a dog owner, and he's a foster dog parent, I guess I should
Come
say.
on, bro. Listen,
But
I gotta push
it's
back on what you're saying about crypto just a little bit. Listen, he derailed every intent that every character had in that film. Like Lois wanted to fly the ship, crypto crawled up in her lap. Like there was no break from that fucking dog, dude. Like he was constantly just being a nuisance. It didn't matter what it was about. He was just constantly being a nuisance. Go ahead.
but yeah, I mean, exactly what dogs serve in movies. So I'm not mad at it. Um, uh, I am glad that later in the movie he kind of was away for a while when Lex captured him. I'm like, all right, he's going to be gone for a bit.
Yeah.
Let's let everybody else kind of do some stuff. But I thought it was cute. He was nipping at Superman's ankles, and he was actually going, "Ow, ow!" Like stop. And that was cute. It was funny, and yeah, I mean, again, it was modeled off of James Gunn's dog, and so we wanted some significant screen time with James Gunn's dog, and there we
Yeah.
go. So, but found family themes throughout, which is exactly what James Gunn does. I do like that the movie started in media res, that we didn't get another origin story, which was nice. A lot of reading though, which a little annoying. But
Well, yeah, but that
I
was
mean,
kind of a little disappointing too. Like I think if you're going to create so much story off screen, you got to give a visual representation of it. There's got
yeah,
to be something. Like for instance, the way that Watchmen did it or the way that Black Panther did it
yeah.
when they were telling those tales, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that would have been great, seeing the first metahuman, where did it come from? Like some sort of establishment for that. I don't I hate when people try and just cover 3,000 years of a fucking story and then just jam it into a movie in exposition. Like it just doesn't land on the audience well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even in Shazam, like those little visuals when he was talking about the wizards and Black Adam and shit, like that was fucking dope, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I would have appreciated a little bit more of that.
It was a lot like the Star Wars, opening crawl of every Star Wars movie. There's that
Yeah.
opening crawl, and then you're on the ship with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So it was more or less an exposition dump, but yeah, a Watchmen opening style credits thing, kind of explaining what was going on.
Exactly.
Uh, which one was it? Was it Wolverine? Did it great in
Right.
yeah, that
Origins.
was opening credits of
Best
him
part of that
and
movie. The rest of the
Sabretooth
movie was
fighting through
shit.
different wars. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really great way to explain their history. And then by the
Yeah.
time the movie starts, you get it. You understand their relationship.
Yeah.
So something like that would have been good. Too much reading for me. I'm not, I don't like reading in theaters, but whatever.
I don't like I don't
I don't
like to
like
read,
reading.
James
I don't
Gunn.
like I don't like
Nobody likes
reading,
to
man.
read, bro. We have the attention span of a gnat. Like,
Exactly right.
come on, bro.
Exactly right.
Wise up. Wise up.
But I did like the symmetry of 3 centuries ago, 3,000 years ago, 3 hours
Yeah.
ago. I did like that symmetry, so that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It was interesting. Okay, so let's talk about what we liked. Then we can go through some scenes and stuff. So let's get into what we like. I'll go first on this one.
Sure.
So, um, Mr. Terrific was the standout, like standout completely. He like this is a Superman movie, but I feel like Mr. Terrific totally upstaged Superman in this film to a ridiculous level, to the point where he was the linchpin of saving the day in the movie.
Yeah.
Like if he died, Superman doesn't know how to close that fucking portal. He would be dependent on Lex Luthor and his goons to do it. So the fact that you would write your titular character to not be the linchpin in a solo movie, that's it's a bad move, James Gunn. Gotta be honest, man.
I thought we were talking
Gotta
about
be
things we
honest.
liked.
Yeah, I know, but okay, sorry, you're right. You're right. Okay. All right, I'll try. Okay, we'll try to keep it elevated to the positive for now. We'll just do that. Okay. If I have to come back to something because of a related thing, then I'll do that. All right, that's fair. But yeah, Mr. Terrific was fantastic. All of his scenes were great. Edie Gathegi's performance was amazing. I saw some chicks drooling over him on Twitter already after he took off his jacket. So apparently he's got the ladies all stirred up, which is kind of crazy.
Nice.
Loved his ship. Loved his joke with Lois. Actually one of my favorite comic book movie jokes. I really enjoyed that one. I know that it's like I have a weird sense of humor. I like witty things. I don't necessarily want to be spoon fed when to laugh. I really like that one. That's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm joke for me. I don't know. That's
Mhm.
kind of the way I saw it. The Justice Gang turned out to be fantastic. Guy Gardner, goddamn bullseye, James Gunn. Bullseye.
Right.
Like bullseye.
Nathan Fillion is a national treasure. We must protect him at
Nathan
all
Fillion
costs.
hit it out of the park with the performance. James Gunn found his voice in the script, and he just was just brought to life, like 1-to-1, like so good. Like, and every Guy Gardner moment just makes Guy Gardner Guy Gardner. It's great. Like it's really really well done. Really
Yeah.
love that. The giant middle finger coming up out of the desert.
Great.
Um,
I loved
that
it.
was just crazy. And yeah, you got to see that in previews, but to see it on the big screen was kind of nuts. I loved it.
And the
Um,
nonchalant way he was dispatching him, just like waving the hand, like
yeah,
I'm not even trying. I'm barely breaking a sweat.
yeah. Funny enough, I saw some Green Lantern fans getting pretty animated when they were releasing clips, and they were like, "Wait a second,
It's not
constructs just
connected to
can't
the
appear."
ring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not attached to
it's
the
not
ring. What's
connected to the
going
ring.
on here?
I
They're
saw that
like,
too.
well, it's kind of advanced beyond the ring construct now. It's these, amorphous kind of come up out of nowhere type shit,
Yeah,
which I think is better personally because Kyle Rayner wouldn't have been able to create a Gundam. Like that's not coming out of his ring. That's too big. So
right.
come on, let's be real. Um, but yeah, nailed him. Nailed Guy Gardner. Nailed it. It was awesome. The Justice Gang overall was great. Really enjoyed that. I really loved Lois Lane. Thought she was fantastic.
Hmm.
Rachel uh, Brosnan.
Brosnahan.
Yeah,
Yep.
Brosnan. Right?
Miss
Or
Maisel.
yes, Miss
Miss
Maisel.
Maisel.
She was great. She was fantastic. Really brought Lois to life. I thought Corn Sweat's performance was good for the writing
Hmm.
that he had. Um, yeah, I gotta say that. And I thought Nicholas Holt's performance was good for the writing that he had. Do I agree with the characterization? We'll get into that. But overall, I really enjoyed that. I like that. I like that they swung for the fences as far as the action sequences, the design, the creativity with it. They really kind of swung for the fences with that. Really enjoyed that. And I liked Metamorpho. I thought what's his face's performance was awesome.
Yep.
Anthony
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan. Yeah,
Yep.
Anthony Kerrigan was great. Great performance. And there's a lot of hot chicks, which you don't see in comic book movies these days. Like Cat Grant was hot, Lois was hot, um, Eve was hot. You know, I think James Gunn has a type. You
For
know,
sure.
James Gunn has a
Cat
type.
Grant was Cat Grant was criminally underused. Criminally
Yeah,
underused.
criminally. But yes, I'm glad in his effort to go back to the golden age, he also took us back, you know, social progress 50 years as well.
Oh Lord. In a good way, guys. In a good way. With all the love in the world, he says.
But yeah. No, that was cool. That was really cool. Yeah, that I would say that's like the top. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out to me. Oh, the T ship, the terrific ship was kind of dope. I really like that one.
Yeah, it was
Thought
cool
that was
looking.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about you, Rich? What really stood out? What did you like?
I was really worried about the Justice Gang because when I saw the previews and I learned that the Justice Gang's going to be in there, I was like, oh, this might be overstuffed. Like this is going to have to be like a 2.5 hour movie, 3 hour movie for this to make sense. But I was pleasantly surprised and thrilled that the Justice Gang worked. I'm looking forward to seeing them again on screen. Guy Gardner was my favorite. I just love Nathan Fillion. I'm just a huge fan of his, just in general. I love The Rookie. I love Castle. I love Firefly. I love anything he's in. I will watch and I will like at varying degrees. But I thought he was a cast perfect choice of Guy Gardner, just getting that punchable face. Uh, just really just embracing the assholishness of Guy. Hot Girl was great. Fine. Mr. Terrific was good. His We talked about his one take fight scene on the beach, probably the highlight of the movie for me, especially seeing it from the viewpoint of Lois in the force
Yeah, that
field. I
was
thought was
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I do like I like Corn Sweat. I thought he was a great Superman. This is going to be a defining role for him. His career's just going to go up after this movie, and so that's great for him. Lois Lane was good. I thought the whole crew from the Daily Planet was great. Perry White, good. Jimmy's
Not
got
much to do
game.
though. Like, yeah, but we really didn't get a lot of real estate out of the Daily Planet crew, except for
N-
Jimmy and Lois, really,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Didn't get a lot out of Perry White. Couple of lines, but not much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Don't
Jimmy
call
was.
me chief.
Yeah,
What? Like,
yeah.
okay.
Jimmy was funny. I was really surprised at how much game he had, but go Jimmy. Yeah, I really liked the relationship between Lois and Clark. I really believed that they were in a relationship. We are starting in the middle of everything. We're 3 months in or however many months in, and I really believed that they were a couple. They had great chemistry together. The chemistry test for them was
Yeah, I'll
great.
add that to my list too. The chemistry was good. Yeah, I'll add
Yeah,
that to my positive
yeah,
list. Sure.
yep. Chemistry was really good. The kaiju fight was cute. I liked it. The pre-kaiju looking like a coked up Stitch was really fun. And then he grew, and then it was a Saturday morning cartoon fight, which was, it was the aesthetic that he was going for. I liked it. I thought it was really neat. The way Superman was like trying to save the kaiju instead of killing him, and how disappointed he was when they did kill him. shows the value of life that Superman has for all living things, good or bad. Yeah, I like that part. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Terrific ship was pretty good. Um, I thought overall the CGI looked really good. Because CGI has been getting a lot of flack, in recent movies, but this one looked
Some of it,
decent.
but there was some real gaps in the baseball stadium fight. Like there was a lot of
Yeah,
gaps.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that
Oh,
one.
the engineer. That's another thing I like. I really like the engineer. I thought the engineer was kind of dope. But
Yeah, engineer was good.
yeah,
I thought that was an interesting character
yeah,
to have. I mean, that's kind of an introduction to the authority, right? I mean, the engineer is
yeah,
part of the authority. So there, he left little breadcrumbs for future projects without hitting you over the head with it, which was nice.
yeah.
I do like that the end credits scene um, didn't lead to anything because you kind of paint yourself in a corner if you do, right? I mean, Marvel's kind of a perfect example of that. We have Hercules at the end of Love and Thunder, and nobody's done anything with him, and then you had Harry Styles at the end of Marvels and or the Eternals, and nobody's doing anything with him. So I do like that it was kind of detached, but he left breadcrumbs in the movie. Guy Gardner going to be in Lanterns. Looking forward to seeing how his interaction, his type of portrayal of a character is going to be into what seems to be like a super serious Lantern TV show.
Hmm.
Um, and we talked about Maxwell Lord. He's going to play a what seems like a big part in the next like Justice Gang movie because the commercial where Peacemaker was auditioning for the Justice Gang, he was in that in that promo. So I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, a lot of good things, a lot of good things in this movie. The ones that love it, I see why they loved it. It was just a refreshing take on Superman. It was just joyful, and yeah, it was good. So those were what I
Yeah.
liked.
Normally we don't get a chance to talk about fan response because it's still very early when we do these reviews. But in this case, there's been quite a lot of feedback to it already, which is
Yeah,
interesting. However, I do think that there's a lot of fans turning a blind eye to some pretty obvious flaws in this film just because they want to sort of protect it. Like there's this parasocial weird thing that happens now in our culture where like you just can't be objective. Like you're so blind you can't be objective about the flaws and still like it. Like there are people that can parse good from bad and still love something. And then there are people that can't parse anything bad from what they think is good because for some reason they feel like they're betraying it or they're doing something to harm it. Like that's something that I see a growing trend of and it's really kind of weird. Um and at times I find pretty fucking disturbing if I'm being honest. Um like for instance, like Wanda stands, like they can't even admit to themselves that Wanda committed a crime in Westview. Like
yeah,
she was Breaking Bad, dude. Like the whole
yeah.
show is about her Breaking Bad. She's got people psychically kidnapped.
That was the
Like
point of the show.
it's entire point
That
of the
was that
fucking
was the point of
show.
the show.
Entire point of the show, but people are like, "Listen, she's been through some things." What? Like,
That is
dude,
also true.
yes. But at the same time, you got to be objective and you got to be fair. You got to be able to parse the good from bad and be able to have an objective analysis of things. You can't just, yeah, it's weird. But anyways, let's get back to Superman. So yeah, what you said about the chemistry with them, I think is accurate for sure, and I definitely agree with you there. However, there is a little caveat to that. Um, that makeout scene, I thought they were starting a porno movie, bro. Like
Oh,
on
in the kitchen?
on the kitchen counter, I thought they were
Oh
like
yeah.
like I thought it was the opening of a fucking porn film. Like that
It's like
was
I downloaded the wrong Superman.
like I'm picturing my friends watching that movie with their kids and that part coming on and just the anxiety that just like grabbed them and was like, "Oh my god, like this is
What's
not what I
happening?
wanted my kids to see. What the fuck is going on here?"
But that's
Like
that chemistry we were talking about.
how are you going to put a dog in a movie and then give them a makeout scene? Like you put the dog in the movie, you get you get toys with the dog, to attract the kids in, and then you show them this scene. That was a little like kind of what were you thinking type of thing for me. But I don't know, because like we never had that kind of physical intimacy in a comic book movie. I don't think so.
Right.
Like there's an actual sex scene in the Eternals, but it doesn't even get that heavy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like you're watching Eternals, you understand that Icarus and Cersei just had sex, but it doesn't even get even close to that.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
They did, but you didn't believe it. Like in Eternals, like it was there, but I didn't believe in the chemistry between those two characters as much as I saw with Lois and Clark there.
Right. Right. So that was an interesting choice, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting choice. But yeah, okay, so let's get a little bit deeper into the weeds here again. Let's talk about what exactly we didn't like.
Sure.
You start?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I already mentioned this. I didn't like the last third. Once I saw the typing monkeys, which when we talked about this before the movie released, and that was rumored to be in there, I was like, oh God, please no, because that's just a bridge too far. Basically,
I told you it would be.
Yeah, basically from that point forward, I was it was a big shoulder shrug for me of a movie, because none of that had to happen in that way. Like you could have kept this movie in the realm of the golden age thing. He could have, instead of the monkeys, he could have used actual bots, like an actual computer program that does all this, and showed that, or had a couple of the minions like launching these, Twitter bots or whatever.
Right.
Why did it have to be super smart monkeys? That's way, you're crossing the line from golden age kind of nostalgia to 60, Batman 66, and it was a really bad shift for me. um what did the falafel guy do to deserve getting shot in the head? It shook me when I saw that happen. I was like, whoa, because it was such whiplash from what I've seen up until that point. So basically from that point forward, I was not a fan of the movie. The negative proton river scene with the black hole and all of that, it was just too much. And I, the splitting of the earth, there could have been different ways to do this, and they kind of picked the most over the top way to do it, and I just did not like that. Um, it just, I don't know. It was annoying to me. By the time we got to the end of it, I was like, oh God, thank goodness. So when we finally finished that act and it was done, and clone Superman goes through the black hole, I was like, oh, thank God that's over. Because I couldn't get behind it. With the shooting of the falafel guy being the instigating event of Metamorpho finally doing something, instead of his baby being held captive across the street of prison, there not being the instigating incident for him to do something. Now that he had a Superman in his cell to be able to break out, I'm like, no, I mean, the falafel guy was great, but he shouldn't have that much uh, uh, sway over you finally deciding that this is going to be what motivates me to break out of prison and save my son. It should have been saving your son been the motivating factor. I felt that Nicholas Holt, I agree, he did a good job, but I felt his Lex Luthor was a little bit one note, a little one
Yep.
dimensional.
Yep.
I like Gene Hackman's version of Lex Luthor. I thought he was layered. He was kind of part tech billionaire / con man in the Donner Superman, and he was kind of funny there. This one he was just shouting and angry all the time. Every scene he was in, he was pissed off.
Over exaggerated, performative.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you're not like that all the time, dude. Like, show me why you're the smartest man on the planet besides having high tech stuff.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
He undermined the mythos of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That was the problem. The script, for some reason, they wrote him so cartoony and so campish that it undermined the gravitas of Lex Luthor. The brilliance, the strategic mind, like all the great things about Lex Luthor that make Lex Luthor just got washed away by the tone that they were trying to apply to this character.
Yeah.
And
And
it just
yeah.
didn't land, dude.
And Holt's a great actor. I mean, I watch one of my favorite movies is The Menu. One of my favorite recent movies is of The Menu,
I
and
love The Menu.
yeah, and he did so well in that movie. I mean, he went from like eager fanboy of the chef to killing himself in the spoiler alert for The Menu if you haven't seen it yet, to killing himself after, the chef whispers something in his ear, and he
Yep.
also, I mean, just a great range of emotion that Lex Luthor is capable of. We've seen it in Justice League Unlimited and and in Smallville, and so for him to just be one note pissed off all the time was just kind of like, why are you so angry, dude? Like, why are you so mad?
Yeah.
I mean, Superman's been around for however many months, years that you've known that he was Superman. Okay, I get you don't like the guy. You feel a little bit threatened by him because you don't know what he is or what his real intentions are there for. So I get that, but I mean, you're gonna have an aneurysm as angry as you are. Superman's not gonna kill you. A heart attack's gonna kill you. So um,
Absolutely.
that was kind of annoying to me. I thought the reimagining of Jor-El was bad.
Very bad.
Jor-El, yeah, when Jor-El used to be this guiding light for Clark
Yep.
on Earth, turned into like go get a harem and conquer Earth. Like
Yep.
that didn't have to be like that either. You could Lex. This is where you expand on the intelligence of Lex. You make it a deep fake, which is
Yep.
very common in our world today. I see where Gunn was trying to parallel things that are going on in the real world today. Deep fake that easily. It didn't have to be the real Jor-El. Now I'm like, now you're just a Viltrumite. Now it's I didn't like that reimagining of Jor-El at all, and it's sticking. So now that's kind of what's hanging over Superman's head in future movies. Is this going to be a Superman that you can't trust for the next however many phases? This is the thing that he's going to have to try to get over, I guess. Uh, I don't know. I didn't like because Jor-El has always been the father figure of Clark. I mean, I get Pa Kent is, but he always looked to Jor-El as like this mythical
He's
father
a
I didn't
mentor.
know.
He's a
Yeah,
mythical mentor. Yeah.
we always romanticize, the quote unquote the absentee father. What would my father have really been like if he was in my life? And that's what
Yep.
Jor-El kind of is. And for
Yep.
him to be that and go get a harem, like what? Like what are we even doing here?
Yep.
Uh, so I didn't like that either. If he would have played it as a deep fake and tried to convince the world that Superman is here to take over and do all that, and then it exposed Luthor for creating this deep fake, would have been much more believable. It would have fit more into the mythos of Superman and who he is, and that Superman is a, um, um, a person that wants to be on Earth and protect Earth and guide Earth to be the guide humanity to be the best version of themselves. And now you're going to question that for the rest of time, I guess. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying. There's nothing I would push back on. If anything, you're echoing my own sentiments. Yeah, the Jor-El thing, the Jor-El and Lara thing was weird because it confirmed something for me too. It confirmed that James Gunn, like, there's this story that he likes to tell when he's talking about producing this movie. And he's like, I always wanted to do a Superman project, but I never really had a story for him. I really never like I didn't know how to go at it. I didn't know how to break the story. Like he taught like that's how writers talk, right? When you break a story, you figure out your way in where you can start to build everything else around it, right? You need that one idea that helps you build everything else out, right?
Hmm.
And when he did this, I'm sitting in the theater and I say to myself, I'm like, okay, so James Gunn didn't break the story, he broke somebody else's. Like he broke somebody else's story so he could tell this story. So that in itself, it just indicates to me that maybe James Gunn wasn't the right guy to do this project, or maybe he had too much going on where he could properly serve this project. I don't know. But if you've got to break something as admired and revered as Jor-El and Lara, and the fact that they sent Kal-El to Earth with the best of intentions to be this now,
Yeah.
that fucks everything up. Plus, he still got the House of El badge on his chest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now you got to do away with that too.
Because now it doesn't mean hope. Now
No.
it means oppression.
Yeah. It means oppression and subjugation and destruction and the whole nine. Like there's nothing good about that symbol anymore. And
It's
you know
like
what?
Jor-El said, it's like Jor-El said, go be Zod.
Exactly. Totally like he went, yes, exactly. 100%. It was almost like, it was almost like he went to to fucking Zod's school of interplanetary relations and passed this lesson down through the generations. Like that's exactly what it's like. And here's the thing. Had they had there been a moment where Clark had removed that, like basically casted that symbol off and said to himself, okay, you know what? This is no longer the symbol that I need to go by. I know I'm saying something very radical where we create a new Superman symbol, but I'm just saying, had he done that, there might be some actual substance to what James Gunn has done. But all he did was break the story that we all knew just so he could tell his story and give Superman an arc, because he doesn't have an arc without breaking this story. Like there is no arc in this movie other than this. Is Superman Superman, Kal-El, Clark, whatever, is trying to prove that he's not the person that his parents want him to be. He's not that guy, right? Which is why that big conversation happens between him and his dad on the porch. He's like, you are the sum of your actions. You are the sum of what you do and what you put out into the world, right? Which is totally accurate. And I think is a great message to send to everybody. But like, dude, come on. Like this was just not the way to go with this story. It just wasn't the way to do it.
I mean, even at the end, he fully embraced his Kent upbringing. So if he would have taken off that stylized S and put on a more human S, then it would have been something different. Like it would have been really cool now that I'm thinking about it. If he took off that angular S, which I thought looked cool, but if he took off that angular S and it went to the traditional, like Christopher Reeve S, the traditional Superman S, that would have been pretty cool.
The narrative justification for that would have been tough, though.
Yeah, like I'm shedding my Kryptonian heritage based on my crazy dad. Like I don't identify with that. So now I'm gonna.
That's actually, you know what? That actually might have worked if his mom was like working on, like his mom hears the story, right? And she starts working right away. Starts working right away, and he gets there, and she's like, "Listen, I can see that this symbol doesn't mean what you think it means anymore. Here, you're Superman. You should have your own symbol, and it's the S, right? That could have actually worked.
Yeah, and no
that
trunks.
Could have actually worked, and no trunks.
And no trunks.
Give me your underoos while we're at it. Like, give me your underoos, and you can go fight crime again. Yeah, absolutely. I like that idea.
And then you're telling the world that is the DCU, I'm not what you saw on Fox News. I'm not that guy. I am not that father's son. I am this father's son. Without having to say anything, So
yeah, that actually could have been cool. Like that actually could have been cool. So I want to touch on what you were saying about the monkey stuff, because when we first started talking about super shit, you know how I felt about that. So not only did I feel like it was fundamentally incompatible with Superman because he is super intelligent, and I just don't see super intelligent people, giving any sort of weight to that type of trolling. Like it's just trolling. And on the other side of the coin, he's a journalist. He knows what trolling is. He knows what click farms are. He knows what bot farms are. He knows this shit. So, I think that he would have the capacity to say to himself, you know what, this stuff means nothing. I'm not going to let it bother me. But that didn't happen. He had to buy into it. He had to like make it about the whole thing. But that's the thing. That's not Superman. That's James Gunn. That's James Gunn's personal experiences being overlaid onto Superman. And it doesn't fit. It's fundamentally incompatible, right?
Yeah. James Gunn is Superman.
Yes. I didn't say it. Rich said it. I was going to say it, but yes. James Gunn is Superman in this movie. That's the craziest fucking thing, but he is. And I've actually got like, I'm working on this other YouTube video, Rich, where I'm going in depth, like psychological analysis of everything in this film. It is a little alarming. I'm not going to lie, because I've been talking to a psychologist buddy of mine, and he's been helping me break it down.
Mhm.
And he's like, holy shit, dude. Like, this is a fucking treasure trove. Because, like, the other thing is, going back to Lara and going back to Jor-El, James Gunn has never had a really good depiction of a father in a film. Like, it's never really been a thing for him. It's always been about found family. Like, you know, your blood family has never been something that he's been reliant on in his narratives for strength or support or whatever. It's always sort of been the afterthought, you know. And it's definitely present in this, because look what he does to, you know, the Kryptonian parents. But yeah, sorry, I was on a thought about the monkeys too. Like, the other thing is, like, what message does this send to people? Feed the trolls? Like, basically, like, let's feed Superman feeds trolls. That's the message. Superman is giving away his psychic energy to trolls. That was the other thing I had a problem with, because I don't think Superman gives the psychic energy away to trolls. That just doesn't track for me. But yeah, is there anything else that you disagreed with that I wanted to talk about? Let me see, or they didn't like that I wanted to talk about. The falafel guy. Holy shit, the falafel guy. That guy is in my breakdown too. The bigger video I'm doing, because here's what I think happened. James Gunn is a guy that monitors the internet like NORAD monitors like missiles. Okay. Like, he's always there with the right answer if somebody starts to question a project, post a rumor, whatever, right? I think what happened is the audience got so invested in that character, because I don't know if you remember like what the messaging was about this character, but it was basically like, look, this is great. You know, we're supporting Superman now. Yeah. Like, Superman needs help. He needs our help. We're there for him. Right? And then he kills him. He shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
The guy from the trailer that everybody's freaking out about. I don't think that was just circumstance. I think that was by design.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's a reason why that scene is so awful. It's like in Spider-Man, if you took the guy and there's like, it's shouting at Green Goblin, "You come for one of us, you come for all of us," and then Green Goblin immediately throws him off a bridge. Like, that would have been awful.
Exactly.
There's a reason why that wasn't done in Spider-Man, you know?
Exactly.
Because the falafel guy and the New York guy is us. It is us. And he basically kind of like shot us in the head and said, "This is my movie and I'm going to do what I want," which is fine. That is your movie. But yeah, so I think with the monkeys thing and the trolling and the whole social media piece, like, Superman can punch his way out of anything. He can punch his way out of any situation, out of any problem. Public opinion is something he can't punch his way out of. So it created an interesting dynamic, because what Gunn is trying to do was make Superman relatable. He was trying to make the man out of Superman. It was more man than super. And so to make Superman relatable, you know, he lets him read the comments and react to it in a way a human would, right? We're both podcasters. I try not to read the comments. Luckily, I haven't had any bad ones, but I'll read one that's a little off, and I'm like, what should I do better next time? That it makes me think about how I need to improve a little bit. I don't take it personally, but so Superman trying to be relatable is like, if you stick me with a kryptonite blade, do I not bleed? That's the message that we're trying to that
I
he was trying to
guess.
portray there, and that he is bothered. He is an outcast looking for belonging, and if the entire world is against him in public opinion, how can he be accepted by humanity if humanity hates him? And so that was a problem he couldn't punch his way out of. And I thought it was an interesting take. I didn't like that it was monkeys that did it though. That was the only thing for me. You could have made it bots. And it could have been straight legacy media doing. It could have been a satire of like Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and all those legacy media things hyping up a story that wasn't true, or whatever the case is, and really kind of leaned into what we see today in our world when you watch the news cycle. And him being a journalist would have understood that, like, this is not who I am, and all of the press is you know making me look this way, and I'm not that. Public opinion affects people.
I guess, but prolonged exposure to something always creates resistance, right? Like it's the way that viruses work. Like the more that you have a certain sickness, the more you build antibodies to it, right? And I think with Superman being a journalist and Clark being a journalist, he knows that this is just par for the course in the online landscape, right? And I think this isn't the first time he's experienced it. I don't think it's the first time he's been around it. So that's why I kind of felt like it was fundamentally incompatible, because he's already been I think he's already had the experiences with it. Like there's no way, like listen, there's no way that he showed up in year 1 and people weren't posting shit about him online. Like there's no
Yeah.
fucking way, right? He's flying around in underwear over his pants. Like he was being made fun of relentlessly. Let's be real here, dude. Right? Like, and I think that he's had the experiences and he's built that resistance to it. And I just don't see him flying off the handle the way that he was and just giving it so much real estate in his head. I just don't see that. It just doesn't track for me. Now, sure, like I may be, you know, I may be wrong and maybe seeing it from an extreme, but I don't necessarily think I am. But I can see how people can buy it. Like, I can see how people can relate to it because that is the landscape that we live in today. But as I said, I think that he's had the experiences. Year 1, he's flying around. People got to be posting shit about him, talking about him online. And I'm sure there was a bunch of dicks, bunch of assholes online that were like, "Hey, who's this asshole flying around in his underwear?" Right? Like totally trashing the guy.
Yeah.
So I just don't buy it. Like it just doesn't track for me. That's all. Um, but yeah, so I haven't had a chance to kind of get into uh some of the things that I didn't like about the film. So let me do that, and then I'll
Yep.
pause and give you a moment to jump in after I kind of go through one. So the major thing for me is that the film, from a technical standpoint, as far as screenwriting and filmmaking, just what I expect objectively from a good movie, just wasn't there. That was the problem for me. It was subjective, it was objectively flawed. It didn't have consistent tone, it didn't have pacing, and it had no structure. I'd also say that the comedy was leaned on pretty heavily. Not that it was not that it was like a per joke ratio, or like per minute per joke or whatever ratio. It was more that they kept going back to the well, to the same running joke. Like for Jimmy, the same running joke; for Crypto, the same running joke; for Hawk Girl, if you want to call that a running joke, the screeching and the cry, the hawk cry or whatever it is, same running joke. It just felt kind of forced. It felt very forced. It felt like Taika Waititi and the fucking goats in Thor: Love and Thunder for me. That's how it felt for me. Um, and I would say that James Gunn did to Superman what Taika Waititi did to Thor. That's my take on this. Is that's kind of how I see things. The other thing I would say about it is, especially about the tone, there was an arbitrary application of life and death stakes, and that really threw me off. Like we talked about a couple times, the falafel guy getting executed Russian roulette style. That really kind of set the tone to a whole other degree from what I thought the movie was. And then no citizen casualties, like no collateral citizen casualties at all throughout the movie. It just felt like he was trying too hard to appease all the people that was like after seeing Man of Steel were like, oh my God, why couldn't he take Zod into space and fight him there and to save all humanity, or to like keep all the humans safe? Or why couldn't Superman, play human traffic cop while he's fighting Zod and saving lives? Like it just felt like James Gunn went above and beyond to try and do everything that he ever read on the internet about what a Superman movie should be. And do I think that he did it in a kind of like, okay, yeah, you guys want to see what a movie looks like with all this stuff packed into it? Okay, I'll give that to you. We'll see how it works. And I kind of think like he's a little bit. I think that, like I said at the beginning, I think that this is a satire. I think it's a deconstruction. And I think he took everything that everybody ever wanted in a Superman movie and just jammed it into the movie. And I think he did it in a very tongue-in-cheek, like, I'm the artist, I'm going to show you guys exactly what you guys wanted, I'm going to show you what it looks like. And for some reason people aren't picking up on that. Like I think he took what Rian Johnson did with Star Wars and he did it. Sorry, let me rephrase that. He did what he did to J.J. Abrams what Rian Johnson did to Star Wars to the Superman fan base with Superman. That's kind of my read on the whole situation. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the the filmmaker background that you do in terms of like uh, what didn't work from a technical standpoint. I do agree that the movie shifted for me at the falafel guy, and that was whiplashing. So that tonal shift for me, I could catch it. And if I could catch that, that had to have been way worse for you watching that happen.
Yep.
He fridged the guy essentially. So that's that's what I picked up on. And that's really the only tonal shift I picked up on because it was so jarring. But for me, the majority of the movie was pretty coherent up until that point. The saving the I didn't even think about like the collateral damage that normally would happen. I normally in quotes if a kaiju was rampaging through the city, right? And it was
We have to
very
talk about
Saturday
we have to
morning
talk about
cartoonish.
that scene specifically, by the way, but go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Yeah, so I didn't think about like that type of collateral damage. They did make an effort though to show that Superman was trying to keep the collateral damage to a minimum. The kaiju leaning up against the building, he stops it from leaning against the building, saving squirrels. I know that's a big scene that everybody talks about. Uh, so yeah, so I don't have that much of an in-depth like I don't view the movie in that much of a critical eye. I view it as like what did I like, what did I didn't like based on what I like in movies and what I don't like in movies, and what I like in comic books and what I don't like in comic books. So I do I do agree with you with some of the tonal shifts that were jarring for me
Right.
because those were heavy. I know we talked before about like the arguing between Clark and Lois at the kind of the beginning of the movie didn't jive with you,
Yeah.
um, but I found that to be when we talked about chemistry. I felt it in that scene because that's how couples fight, right? And I get that it was it started off as two journalists interviewing each other or a journalist interviewing Superman, but it turned into a couples fight, and it really made me believe more in their relationship because all Clark wanted was Lois's support of what he was doing, of what he thought was best in saving lives, and Lois wasn't giving it to him. Like Lois is like, "Look, you're not doing the right thing. I don't support you in this." And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to save lives. How come you can't get behind me on that?" And he was saying that not as a journalist, not as Superman being interviewed by Lois, but as Clark Kent, the boyfriend, being like, "Why can't you support me?" So that wasn't a tonal shift really that I was bothered by in that sense. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Right. So since you brought it up, let's talk about the Clark and Lois scene. And I'll make this short because I want to get on to other things. But I agree with you. I do think it was a couples fight. I think that's ultimately what drove him to raise his voice
Hmm.
100%. But the part where he didn't understand what off the record meant, I'm not buying that. That was just a really dumb thing to write into that scene. Like it was almost like we don't have enough comedy in this scene. We need something funny. What can we do? Oh, I know. Let's take the 3-year journalist and tell everybody he doesn't understand what off the record means.
Him fumbling the
Sorry.
recorder would have been the perfect comedic bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been fine. But the fact that he says that he didn't know what off the record mean and they have to literally talk about what off the record means, I was like, that's dumb. That does
Yeah.
not make any sense for two journalists to have a conversation about. But yeah, I agree with you that it was definitely a couples fight. However, I do think that it conflicts a little bit with more of a historical version of Superman where he's more stoic, more controlled, more measured, more emotionally tempered, consistent. Um, and I found that a little bit off-putting. I found the characterization of Superman to be a little clumsy. Like at the beginning of at the beginning of this review, I said that there was a lot of Superman cliches, and I kind of feel like that's where a lot of the characterization was made up, was with the cliches,
Mm.
which was unfortunate. Like I just don't feel like there was like this wasn't a very dimensional Superman. There wasn't a lot of character to this particular Superman. That human speech, I was laughing. Like first I started laughing when Lex started going on about envy, and then I started laughing more. Like I shouldn't be laughing at the climax of the movie when the characters are burying their souls, but that's what
Yeah.
you did to me by killing somebody via Russian roulette and then having no life or death stakes in the movie at all. Like I think that this was intentional. I do. Because to say it wasn't intentional is to say that James Gunn doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Because it was so all over the place, right?
Yeah.
The no casualties, the evacuation of the city that happened within 5 minutes, which would never happen in a million years in any city on planet Earth. It like the whole like yeah, let's talk about the kaiju thing. So a 400-foot kaiju walks into the middle of the city, fire breathing, and there are dogs and squirrels still in the vicinity around this giant 400-foot thing that's been walking around with its 400 feet of weight. Because I know that dogs don't have the sharpest vision. I know squirrels don't have the sharpest vision, but they pick up on vibrations. And if you got something 400 feet walking around, that is going to terrify the shit out of some animals. They're not going to be walking around it trying to
Yeah.
figure out what it is. They're not going to be sniffing around it. I'm sorry. Right. That was very performative, very over exaggerated because they wanted to get, they wanted, they wanted to contrive certain scenes and they did away with common sense to do that. And that is something that I always take issue with. Like, if you have to do away with common sense to build a contrived scene, I'm out of it. Like, I'm just pulled out of it completely. Like, I get it. You're making a campy, cartoony movie. That's awesome. But, like, and yes, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief to a certain extent, but there's a threshold, dude. There's a threshold, and you made me like you took me 400 feet over the threshold. Yes, the height of the kaiju. You took me 400 feet over the threshold, and I just couldn't go with you. I'm sorry. And then you have the entire city standing around this kaiju taking photos of it. Like, ridiculous. That is so preposterous. And then the office building, people are still in the boardroom. Like, I'm sorry, but if a 400-foot kaiju comes in to a city setting, they're going to evacuate the buildings like pretty fucking quick. They're not going to be having a board meeting as Superman is fighting a kaiju. Like, that doesn't make any sense, man. I'm sorry, but feel free, punch back. Let's go. Bring it.
Well, I kind of think like the kaiju thing, everything you're saying is an extreme version of what we see in our world today, right? You see
Yeah.
emergencies happening and people don't run to help. They reach in their pockets for their phone and
Right.
to record. I think it's just a more extreme, a bigger version of that.
So you agree with me? It's a satire.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's just a bigger reflection of what we see in the world today. You see two people fighting out in the street, and instead of anybody jumping in and trying to stop them, 10 people are out there with their phone recording it for world star hip hop. And
that would make it a satire. So it's a satire.
Yeah. So yeah, and then one way I kind of justified it in my head too was like, okay, so at the beginning you had the crawl of this is metahumans have been on Earth for a while, so kaijus, 400-foot kaijus may not be as rare of a thing as we think. And people have seen Superman for a few months and are confident that he's going to stop him. So I'm okay to stand on the 40th floor of my building and recording because I see him stopping the kaiju hitting the building. So we're going to be okay. And, oh, the Justice Gang's coming. We're going to be fine, people. Like, I live in Florida, right? Hurricanes. We're in the middle of hurricane season. Unless that thing's a category 4, I'm not worried about it. So I'm not evacuating necessarily what everybody else is. I'm like, we have hurricane parties here.
I actually like that point. No, you're right. I actually like that point. So you're saying that Superman has been fighting these things for so long. And granted, there's a follow-up scene where the Justice Gang is just fighting this amorphous blob in the middle of the city where he's putting on his fucking boots. Okay, now I understand the first image that James Gunn released. That was literally the tone palette for the entire film. That and Crypto were the entire tone palette for the entire film. I get what you're saying. You're saying.
So that scene where they're fighting the interdimensional imp, even Lois is like, shouldn't you be out there? And it's like, no, the Justice Gang's got it. We're fine.
Yeah. Like it's a regular thing, right?
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. Okay. That tracks, but it is a satire because he murders somebody in the middle of his campy, cartoonish comic book movie. And the guy he just happens to murder is one of the people that all the fans glommed onto in the first release of the trailer.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think that is an accident, right? I don't think that that's an accident. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is Ultraman. Now, I have this theory.
Do you mean Nuclear Man from Superman 4?
Nuclear Man, yeah.
Don't you mean Nuclear Man?
So I want to talk about Ultraman. So here's the thing. They gave it away that he was a clone, like at the beginning when he walks into the Fortress of Solitude. Like that was a dead giveaway. Well, actually they gave it away in the trailers because they showed that scene in the trailers, right? So they completely gave that away. But here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people are picking up on this. That's James Gunn's Superman movie contending with the Superman movies that preceded it. That's what that is.
Okay.
100%.
That's Snyder's. That's a representation of Snyder's Superman.
I 100% believe that. Yeah. 100% believe that. Because why else? And I have a feeling, okay, go with me. I'm going to cook here. I think Gunn probably approached Cavill to play Ultraman.
You think?
And I think that there was a rumor. I think there was a rumor that it actually happened. But I think Cavill he read the fine print metaphorically or figuratively. He read the fine print and he knew what James was trying to do with that. He knew what James was trying to do. He's like, I get it. You want me to get my ass beat by your Superman. But again, this is just a theory. This is just a theory. I'm speculating wildly. This is total conjecture. I have no proof that James Gunn sat down with Henry Cavill to talk this out, but I definitely think that there was probably an approach for this
You know, now that you
because
mention it, when his mask peels away and it's like he's got long hair, he kind of looked like him for a minute.
a little bit,
If you squint, it kind of
yeah,
looked like Cavill for about half a second.
yeah, and they did not shoot him with the mask off in a way that would give you that would let you with 100% certainty believe that that was Corn Sweat.
Yeah.
Like there was no camera work done as far as close-ups or anything, or a clean close-up or anything to do that. So I definitely think that entire scene is about, and again, I think that this is a deconstruction. I think that this is a satire. And I think James Gunn was trying to say a lot with this movie other than just what we think it is. It's not just a comic book, cartoony movie. He, I think it was intentional, which I think, nods to his brilliance and nods to the kind of filmmaker that he's wanted to be. And I think in a way, he's not necessarily comfortable with being an exclusive comic book filmmaker. Like I think he wants to do more, and I think I think that came across a lot in this project for me.
Yeah,
Um
I think James Gunn was working out some stuff with
Absolutely.
I think this was a bit of therapy for him and
Absolutely.
getting some stuff off his chest, and yeah,
Yeah.
mission accomplished for him, I suppose.
Yeah. And the fact that Zaslav let this out of the lab, like maybe he didn't see it, but
Uh,
this is a
well,
highly personal movie, like highly personal. Like he completely erases Superman basically to kind of to exercise his own demons in a way, you know?
yeah.
What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Okay, we covered the zero casualty thing, we covered the kaiju. I I like I like your premise on the kaiju. It works for me. But I think both things can be true, right?
Sure.
I think that more than one thing can be true, and I think that your premise or your angle actually does ring true, especially with especially with the exposition dump at the end. Like that
Mhm.
totally makes sense to me. Oh, the climax. We got to talk about this fucking climax. Oh my god. The third act was definitely just a complete write off.
The
Like
whitewater rafting down the Proton River?
it was not good. It
No,
was not
it
good.
wasn't good. It wasn't
Um
good.
but where it went from there was even stranger. Um so like I said, the citywide evacuation in 5 minutes was ridiculous. I think he was just either overcompensating or he was laughing in everybody's faces thinking that you guys think that you can save people during like a battle between demigods, because keep in mind James Gunn liked Man of Steel.
Mhm.
He's publicly said that. So if he likes Man of Steel, I think he agrees with the idea that the collateral damage made sense like so many other Man of Steel fans, because it does make sense. It's his first fight. Zod and him were fighting across the city like two fucking gods. Like that's exactly what it was, right?
Mhm.
And Avengers, what happened to the first Avengers? All of New York City was like destroyed to the point where they had to raise money to like fix the city.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people take such issue with Man of Steel, but then with Avengers, with seasoned heroes and a god that's 1,000 years old and a military agency backing them, they're just like, it's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But my point is that final act. This this is when the absurdity hit like peak levels for me. And I was convinced that this was totally just either James Gunn fucking with us or he was just going hard for the satire. And this is and if this is a satire and if this is a deconstruction the way that I think it is, it's actually a pretty good movie, but I don't know if it is. Like I would need him to explain his creative process to me on this to really figure out where I stand with this film. Because if this was in like it, like if this was him taking the character serious, he missed by a Great Lakes distance, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
But if this was him wanting to deconstruct the entire industry with his first project so he could start fresh and basically just have a satire of all the different points of view and commentary and viewpoints of comic book culture, this actually might be a win.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Because he touches on all of it. He deals with life and death. He deals with the absurd standards of fans. He deals with the cancellation culture. He deals with fucking everything. So I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, this climax. You lost me when Mr. Terrific zipped back up the city like a winter coat. Like if that was if this was supposed to be serious, if this was supposed to be real consequences, real stakes, that's not real stakes. Like zipping up the city like a winter coat is not real stakes. There's got to be something more to it than just do 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 do. Oh, city's fixed.
Yeah. Like it should have the splitting should have stopped, and then we deal with the ramifications of what do we do with a broken world, right? How do we fix that? And you explore that in future movies, similar to, you know, The Blip, and how
Batman.
after Infinity War, you know, how do you deal with, you know, half the population coming back in an instant, right? For better, for
Yeah,
worse,
but he didn't
Marvel
kill it.
tried to
But the
touch on
problem
that.
is he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
So there's no sense of loss in this movie at all, except for the falafel guy. Oh my God, I didn't pick up on that. There's no sense of loss in this film at all, except for the falafel guy.
Yeah, it's
That's
the
it.
only overt act of violence in the entire movie.
Yeah. Because like all the raptors survive.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Or do Terrific kill some of those guys?
Yeah, all the rest of it is cartoony violence. The falafel guy is the only overt act of actual violence.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that Superman scene where he's like, you know, using his heat vision on everybody or on the raptors as they're surrounding him. He's spinning like a top indiscriminately, just spinning around, firing off his heat vision. And nobody takes one in the face. Like, come on, dude. I'm not buying that shit. So yeah.
Cartoony though. Cartoony.
Yeah, cartoony. Yes. But that's the thing. Like the problem is, and this is why I think it's a satire. If you establish a certain set of rules within your film, you have to follow those rules. That's where the threshold is on suspending disbelief, is you have to follow the worlds that you set within the project or in the world that you've created, right? You got to follow those rules. But when you're arbitrarily just sort of killing people and keeping people alive when they should be dead based on the impact on them, the physical impact or the injuries that they've suffered, then that's when it gets into satire. That's when it gets into absurdity. That's when it gets into just pure comedy, and it doesn't really have the same weight anymore, you know? And ultimately I think that's what was lacking from this project was the dramatic weight. There was no dramatic weight to this project whatsoever. Anyways, I think we can wrap up here. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, what?
Supergirl. Let's just quickly. Yeah, let's talk about Supergirl.
I mean, I'm still excited for the Supergirl movie. Not a fan of this introduction. It's going to be a completely different type of movie. Are we gonna see Party Girl Supergirl? I guess I don't know. Or Supergirl is this how she deals with, you know, coming to Earth and being the same age as Clark, because she was supposed to have come first, I think. I don't know. I don't remember the whole Supergirl lore, but
for some reason comic book movies have turned into trauma dramas.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts, trauma drama. And I think that's sort of a popular direction we're headed in. I can definitely tell you that there was a little bit of that in Fantastic Four, not a lot of it, but there's a little bit of it. And yeah, Supergirl is definitely going to be a little bit of a trauma drama. I think that, you know, mental health is sort of found a very comfortable place in everyday society and everyday conversation.
Mhm.
and people want to see these themes sort of explored through media. Um, I think it could be done a little bit more judiciously and a little bit more gracefully than it
Yeah.
is being done, and a little bit more sparingly. Like I feel like we've gone through this era of increased representation and identity politics in film. I think we're going to go through this era now of trauma dramas. Like I think that's kind of where things are going to go, but it's going to make characters more human, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, so Supergirl, I thought it was funny and really ridiculous in a bad way that Superman just finished explaining to the robots that she could only go to planets with red suns to get drunk, and then
Yeah.
she came home drunk. Like that didn't really make sense to me because she's on a planet with a yellow sun, and he explained how their metabolism works. So that didn't really make a lot of sense. Um, Again, yeah, I just have like, I don't, I don't know what this movie is. I don't know what this movie is anymore. It
So
just,
based on what we saw in Superman, what are your predictions for the DCU? Like, what do you think tonally it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be more of this, or is Gunn going to
I'm
allow each
terrified.
filmmaker is Gunn going to allow each filmmaker to set their own tone? Like Matt Reeves, they already said Matt Reeves Superman 2, I think, is done a script. They're finished with the script.
You mean
Um,
Batman too?
the Batman 2
Yeah.
is done for the script. I'm hearing reports that James Gunn liked it, but that's going to be an Elseworlds tale. That's not DCU's Superman. So are we going to get Brave and the Bold or Batman? Sorry, are we going to get Brave and the Bold Batman? That version of it versus a more darker Matt Reeves uh, type of Batman. Clayface is an interesting movie to be coming out. What's that tone going to be like?
Well,
I
Penguin
don't
hit it
know.
out of the park as far as something more grounded, more gritty,
Yeah,
something more, yeah, more serious, something that takes itself a little bit more seriously. So I have a certain level of hope for those types of stories. I can't deal with another movie like this. I just can't.
yeah.
Um, the
I mean,
audience is
there are
supposed to
some.
leave it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I am looking forward to some projects. Like I'm looking forward to seeing how they do Lobo on screen. Looking forward to Peacemaker season 2 to come out. The Green Lantern series. I'm looking forward to that. I,
Me
I'm
too.
just I'm just interested to see tonally how they're going to be individually, and then how are they all going to come together for the big team up movie at some point? Because if they're two tonally different things, if you're going super bright aesthetic for Superman, and then you go like dark True Detective Lanterns. Who's going to be up here looking at it from a 30,000 foot level to say, okay, here's how the team up movie is going to be, right? Where do you find the balance in those tones? So I'm interested
Well,
to see how they work themselves out that way.
well, see, this is where I think James Gunn is missing the mark. Saying that every DCU project is going to have its own tone is just the wrong idea. I think that they should have established a universal tone and then had the characters inform on any tonal alchemy. Let's call it that, right? Like I understand that certain characters have a different voice and a different approach, but that's been handled very well in former Justice League films. Like I think that that's something that they've actually gotten quite right, where Batman blends with Wonder Woman and the Flash, like they all get to be their individual personalities. But as far as like the overall tone of the films themselves and the stories, there needs to be something universal that holds it all together. And I just don't think that James Gunn understands that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to learn it, but it's going to be through trial and error, and which I think is going to present some challenges, and I think is could potentially hurt the DCU as it moves forward. Um, this movie missed its box office projections. Like Wall Street Journal saw it as like doing 800 million. I don't think it's even going to make 500. They've already switched most of the theaters off to Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Um, all the premium screens are Fantastic Four right now. Like here in Canada, I can tell you that right now.
Same in the US. I was looking at
Yeah,
tickets for this weekend.
yeah. So I don't think it's even going to hit 500. And a lot of people are already saying, like, even people that are sort of middle of the road, just DC fans, no loyalty to Snyder, no loyalty to Gunn. They're just saying, like, what was it all about? Like, why did we go through all this change just to sort of kind of hit this mid mark? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and again, if this film was intentionally a deconstruction or a satire, it's a really bad strategic move to kick off your new film universe. Like, it's a really, really bad move.
I mean,
Really bad move.
it has piqued my interest for what the DCU is going to bring. So I will say that
Sure.
because I want to I want to see where they go from here. Um, One thing that I appreciate what Gunn was saying is that what comic book movies get wrong is they're trying to film a movie before they have a finished script. So I am appreciative that he's going to have at least a completed script before they before they do production and before they start production on a movie. So with that being said, at least it'll be somewhat coherent. But I'm going to be interested to see how they bring it all together. I mean, there's a reason why Feige, except for very few rare instances, got directors that could fit the Marvel way, right? We got to fit, like you're saying, this universal tone.
But he
Um,
was all but he was always the filter at the top,
he was
right?
the
Like
quality
he
control.
was,
He was the quality
yeah, he
control
was
guy.
quality
Yeah.
control at the top. And I think because Gunn doesn't have that anymore, I think he's gone off the rails a bit, right?
Is
And
Guns the quality control? So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's going to be interesting to see what's his Batman going to look like, right? Now that we know that Matt Reeves' Batman's not going to be part of the DCU canon,
yeah.
what's Gunn's Batman going to look like? What's Gunn's Wonder Woman going to look like? You know, that sort of thing. So
Well, I
we'll see
think
how it goes.
I, I also think that we can objectively say that James Gunn's best work or most celebrated work has been under the supervision of somebody with a sense of quality control, right? I think that that's
Yeah.
something that we can clearly say. This is his first time out with his own IP, with his own franchise. And I don't think it's as impressive as the rest of his work. That's what I'm going to say about that. And then the other thing is, you were talking about his process of approving the script first and then going into production, right?
Yep.
I think that you and I would both agree, and maybe you won't, I don't know, but I think the script was the main problem with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were talking about the one dimensionalness of some of the characters. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
the tonal shifts and,
Yeah.
like, the
But at
fact
least it
that he
was
wrote
done.
yeah, it was done, but is that going to be our standard as we move forward, dude? Like, we're paying good money to go to the movies now. We're paying more than we ever have. We're signing up for streaming services. Like, they get more of our money now than they ever gotten, right?
Yeah.
They get more
Yeah.
of our attention than they've ever gotten. Like, we need to get what we want out of this, and that needs to be front and center as these conversations move forward. Before we sign off, I want to do something that we've never done, but I'm curious to see how this goes.
All right.
Both you and I have said a lot in this review. Okay. You've changed my mind about a couple things, or you've made me kind of look at things a little bit differently. I want to hear from you first. Where did I shift your perspective on this movie? And then I'll tell you where you shifted my perspective on this movie.
I think for me, I liked this movie a lot more before we talked. You helped. So, and
The Frank
and,
effect.
and again, I mean this with all the love in the world. You're making me look at this in a more critical way because I'm more critical of the things that I was critical about.
Right.
I was more willing to write this off on some things before we talked and before we met. But I think the way you break down movies has helped me understand a little bit more from the filmmaker side because I'm not that. I don't make movies, right? I'm not in that industry. I don't have friends that are in that industry or anything. I'm just a
Right.
dude that likes what I like. But you shifted my perspective on some things in terms of that. So yeah, I don't think there's anything specific I want to say you flip me on, but you're just making me look at things in a more critical way, which I appreciate.
Okay. You shifted my perspective on the kaiju fight for sure. I think that's an actual really informed and inspiring narrative lens to look at things through. Um, and you may have actually rescued that scene for James Gunn. Because if it is a satire, then that does align with a satire in a way. But it also aligns with a couple of other sort of formats and a couple of sort of other narrative styles, which is interesting. And you shifted my perspective on the Clark and Lois fight, like for sure, where it was more like I felt like after we talked, it was, there's definitely a likelihood that it was more motivated by the relationship dynamic than it was necessarily a mischaracterization, because there was a lot of, there was a lot of fluctuation in the relationship. Like Lois says to Terrific, like, "Hey, I was thinking about breaking up with him."
Yeah.
Right. So clearly there's a little bit of shaky ground there. That can't be fixed with a quick makeout session, by the way. But there's some shaky ground there. So yeah. So I found that insight interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I don't know what this movie is. I don't.
I mean, it was a good time at the theater. I had a fun 2
it
hours.
was. It was. But like for me, I have to be able to make sense of what I watch, and I just can't with this. It's. I'm gonna do my YouTube video where I do the deep dive into it. It's gonna get really, really, really like deep cuts. We're going for some serious deep cuts with this one, and it's going to probably upset a lot of people, but I hope it's going to make them think. And I'm going to come at it from the best place possible with the best intentions, but I just want to understand what I watched. That's all. Besides just being a movie, like what was it? Like what were you
Yeah.
trying to do? Like, are you an evil genius, James Gunn, or did you just shit the bed harder than Amber Heard? Like, please explain to me what happened. I need to know. And I think that's why I debate what the debate about it so much online. This particular movie is because I want to hear other people's perspectives to try and figure this out, because I don't get the blind popularity of it. I just don't. It just doesn't track for me at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, listen, guys, thank you for listening to us break down Superman. We enjoyed it. Me and Rich always enjoy connecting and talking about nerd shit and unpacking movies and dissecting things. It's a lot of fun for us. And me as a filmmaker, I just like talking about movies. I like unpacking narratives and reverse engineering things. And like this is a Saturday night for me. I love this kind of shit. So
Yeah,
again, thank you. Hope you come back for the next episode. I don't know what we're going to do. Oh, we'll probably do Fantastic Four for the next episode,
yeah, I'm
right? You're
definitely
going to
gonna.
go see
Yeah,
Fantastic Four.
I'm gonna try to catch it this weekend. So let's plan for
Cool.
that one for sure. I'm hearing
Cool.
good
I'm
things, so I'm
excited.
really excited. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
it
hearing
was
good
great,
things.
man. Without setting expectations too high. I'll just say what I already told you via text message. That way I'm not spoiling anything. But it's definitely my favorite movie of the year so far. So
I mean, there's already bootlegged like clips on TikTok, and I'm just like scrolling so fast. I'm like, oh my god, these people are relentless.
dude, put
So
it on
it's
mute. Just put, like, I don't know if TikTok has a feature where you can mute words, but X does, and I muted all that shit because I didn't want them to spoil anything for me. And it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely got a couple flaws here and there. But it's Matt Shackman is he's legit. He's legit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope they give him more projects. Somebody posted on Twitter, Matt Shackman Spider-Man, and I'm with it. I'm with Matt
Oh, that could
Shackman
be
and
good.
Spider-Man. Yeah. Yeah, he definitely understands character development. Like he really, really
Mhm.
gets it. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Come back for the next one. To be continued. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Rich Herrera. Thanks for watching.
Peace.